in the main event, DDP gets it done against Israel Adesanya. What a good fight. Super strategic chess match, as you would say.
The first thing I got to say about Du Plessis is that he's one of those enigmas. He's one of those guys, one of those rarities where the simple way, and the only way, an accurate way to put it, he's better than he looks. There's nothing dynamic looking about what he does until he does it, until he gets the end result. Then it is. But up to then, it's very deceiving and misleading. He is the perfect example of that old saying, never judge a book by its cover. He's physically strong, we know that. He's really big. He's so physical, but he's better in technical areas and subtle areas than meets the eye. He really is. And what he has is the same thing that Usyk has in boxing. An ability to win. An ability to win. A drive, determination. A lot of people have that. But he's got that plus an uncanny way to do and know how to win. It was a great fight. It was a great fight. I thought Adesanya looked good. He's 35 years old. He's not used up. But I thought after a year off, everything else, coming off a loss to Strickland, a year away, I thought that he was keeping range. He was looking to strike, is what he needed to do. Du Plessis was able, I thought Adesanya was doing good at range, using the jab, putting punches together, threw some beautiful body shots. I thought that he did really good striking in spots as Adesanya where he should. You know, keeping separation, as I said, putting punches together, using his jab. Du Plessis is not, I don't know if it's fair to say not as good a striker. I think it is fair, but definitely not as finesseful, not as natural, not as polished a striker, but effective. And he finds a way to land telling punches, like punches that when he lands them, they mean something. And he landed a few. So Izzy couldn't get the complete upper hand striking. So he couldn't dominate striking. And that allowed him to then be in the game the way he wanted to be, where he could then get him on the mat, which is where he knew he had the edge, and get him down to the floor, which at the end, Du Plessis, if he could do it, that's what he wanted to do. So I thought he did it with a nice mix. I also thought that there were close rounds. I had it. I know the judges had it 2-1 going into the fourth. The round that wound up being the last round. I could have had it 2-1 for Izzy. I know they had it 2-1 for Du Plessis, but I could see it because they were close rounds. I could. But I could see it for me 2-1 for Izzy. But always knowing that every minute, every second that there was still time was dangerous territory for Izzy. For both, but for Izzy. Because of the physicality, the power of Du Plessis striking and on the floor. Obviously on the floor is where I said his big advantage was going to be. I thought that, I mentioned it earlier, yeah, you could talk about the submission, which ended the fight, but what got him to the submission? It was a punch that got him on the floor. Am I correct?
Correct.
What got him to the place where he could put his arm around Izzy and this time not miss the opportunity he missed a couple times earlier and complete the choke. What got him there? A strike got him there. What got him where he could land the strike? A habit by Izzy, who's a great athlete, who's one of the greatest middleweights UFC of all time, but a habit of going back straight. And Izzy gets away with it more than he don't because he's fast. He's got good legs. He's got good anticipation. He's got great reflexes. But now he's 35. And if you do that and you break the rules, for me, and you do what's wrong technically, and you go back straight, you're playing with fire. You're playing Russian roulette. Sooner or later, there's going to be a bullet in the chamber. Izzy was going back straight, early rounds, getting away with it. But I'm sure that Du Plessis took note. I'm sure his corner took note. They said, you can catch him going back if you step quick enough. If you step quick enough, you can catch him going back because he's available. He's exposed when he goes back more than one. He gives you two. You don't give somebody 2, 3 chances to do something bad to you. When you go back one, that's the only chance they get. You go back one, you go at the right distance. That's the right way to do it. You go back one, you get away with it, you counter, you set a trap, you move your head then, you go to the side. But if you go back again, now you're giving the guy a chance on the second. You're giving him a second and third chance to do what he couldn't do on the first one. And that's what Du Plessis took advantage of. Izzy was going back straight, and nobody, I bet you they still may not have noticed it. But because you notice the big stuff. You notice the physicality. You notice the submission. You notice the power of and the relentlessness of Du Plessis. You notice that. And you should notice that. But you should also notice the habit that allowed that powerful punches to land by going straight back 2 steps, 3 steps on a straight line. Anyway, I'm not negative on Izzy. I think he's great. He's 35. I think if he wants to come back, he still can beat, if he's ready on that given night, I think he can still beat top guys. And for those that aren't sure or didn't watch it afterwards, aren't sure whether or not Izzy is retiring, because there's some thought that maybe he's going to retire now, with the great career and everything else. And he made it clear that he's not. And he made it clear with a quote. I don't know if anyone else caught this, but the quote was from The Wolf of Wall Street. You probably caught it.
Yeah.
Of course. He says, my son's going to love this, I'm not effing leaving. That's what he said. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not effing leaving.